Okay, so there's the boss on. That's how it will sit. I'll make some kind of hook up there so it can sit on that roll cage somewhere. That's obviously for the camera at the back. Yeah, so that's the boss in place. The only thing I've found now is that nut. I need to tighten it, and unfortunately the shoulder, the socket I've got for that, which is 34mm, the wall thickness of the socket is too much, so I don't know what I'm going to do there. I might have to chamfer it down a bit to a 32 or whatever, but it won't quite go in deep enough to tighten it. It's just that, see that bit of slop there? That needs to be tight. Spring washer's in there, but and you're not going to be able to tighten it any other way without a socket, so I shall go across that bridge when I come to it. So let me show the dilemma I've got. This is the wheel we've got. This is the boss that was on it, which has got the right spline for the Mini, and as you can see, that obviously is not going to work on that. So there's the aligning holes there. Obviously that is not going to work. So what I'm doing is I'm going to make this plate. This is 5mm thick steel. I've drilled these holes in it already. I'm going to drill the other holes in, which will make a plate, which will go underneath that the other way. And then I will do the holes in here, which will attach it, them 7 holes there. And because this is coming on and off, the nuts underneath anyway, so there's no big problem. I'll just paint this black. And that's the remedy for it. It's taken quite a bit because obviously it has to be precision drilled, otherwise these won't fit properly. We can't afford to have any movement in this, well, on the one that's on the car. So I think 5mm more than strong. That's actually too heavy, but until I've cleaned the rust off it and whatever, it should be quite nice. So we just paint it black, put a Cooper logo on it or something, and then fit this one onto it. So, well, there's a will, there's a way. Okay, so this is turning into a bit of a drama, but I think I've got the back of it cracked now. So there's it. There's the part that goes onto the shaft. This is the quick release, obviously, here. So what I've done is I've made this, this is 5mm plate. It looks a bit ugly, it's not quite centered, but the holes are centered there. So what I need to do now is put a piece of paper on it, get all these holes lined up, and then get those 7 holes lined up there. So you can see now it actually fits over the center. There's a bit of a gap. What I can do is, worst comes to worst, I'll re-weld it in here where it's rough, and then cut it back a little bit at a time. I was going a bit too quick with that, I think. And then I can get the 7 bolts straight into here, and then that cap will fit in there with the O-ring on it, of course. So this will all be black. I might even be able to paste that up. Yeah, you know what, instead of welding that and cutting it back, it's a lot of work. It's exactly the same 5mm. I think what I'll do is paint it and then just put some filler in it. Because if anything happened, that would break, that filler. Or maybe some silicone in there, something that will go hard, and then paint it all black. Because this is coming off, obviously, together. When you pull these out, this is all coming off in one. Yeah, I'll see how that goes. That's a good start. We're getting there. He said to say it was for a Momo wheel, and this is not a Momo. This is, what was it, Formuling. It must be German or something. But I had this put on with this orange thing in it, so I had that made in Bosnia for pennies, really. Well, it wasn't pennies, but it was a few euro. Nothing compared to what it would cost in the UK or America or Austria. So there you go. So I'll crack on with it and see how it goes. So I'm really getting through this now. So this is how it looks now. It's all ready to go on. This was the original one on it, and I did look to see if I could possibly use that flange, but the problem is where these rivets are and where this is, they're halfway through the center of the rivet, so there'd be no meat on the back of the boss. I would have had to weld a piece into it, and getting that straight would have been very difficult. So I could have took those rivets off, but unfortunately the center is miles too small, and it would have been right up here in the corner somewhere, and there wouldn't have been enough meat to put the bolts through it. all the screws through it. So that's why I didn't use it. And it is actually an inch further in, an inch, probably 2 centimeters, whatever, further in, which is better, because the problem with the Trackman is you're not allowed to have adjusters on it. It has to be sat where it's sat, the seat. So I'll show you what it's like when it's all done. A perfect example of a bit of perseverance. Now, I could go and get a Momo wheel for this, but they're pretty expensive. I already had this made, so I've just made this adapter plate. What I need to do now, I've circled all of these countersunk screws, or set screws, because I need to just countersink them a little bit more, and they need to be flush, so because they're just on the edge of that wheel there. So I'll get them, and then what I'm going to do then is weld all that piece back in, so it's an absolute tight fit onto that centre boss there. So when that goes in, it sits right up close against it. If you can see that. I know it's extra work, but it's worth it. And you can't see any of this when it's on, so that fits like that. The basics is there, it's in. You just pull your 2 fingers out, and there you go. You got your boss on the back. And even if it's in the wrong position, it'll fall in. And this centre cap fits as well. So once this has been re-welded, unfortunately our welder's screwed up, we're going to play with it tomorrow, get it sorted. But that works really well. I'm very happy with it. And then we can hang it up wherever, or probably put it up there or something. Yeah, it's a lot easier to get in and out of the car, isn't it? There we go. Very happy.